Welcome to Studio Founders Podcast. My name is Aaron. This is Ivan. And I just want to talk to Ivan a little bit first about why he wanted to start this Studio Founders, this podcast. Just why Studio Founders?
Hi, everybody. My name is Ivan Pryntsev. I'm a business owner running a dance school and launching other businesses with AI at this point, trying to build new softwares. And happy to be here. Very excited and very excited about Studio Founders. The whole purposes of Studio Founders is to share experience between all of the studio owners, dancers, and the community of the ballet and dance world overall. So other people feel like there's a lot more to it, and there's a place to grow, place to learn from others.
Yeah, so you own a ballet studio in Laguna Hills called Pryntsev Ballet Academy, which you've been running for about 6 years now.
6 years,
Right.
yes.
So obviously, there are a lot of experiences that come with that, and just being a ballet dancer, but also a business-minded person. And like you mentioned, you're doing AI and software and all of this stuff. So I think that's really cool that you want to talk about maybe dance, but also the business side of dance, and maybe even other types of businesses that you're getting into and stuff like that. And like you said, maybe some people can learn from that, right? And maybe we can even learn something from other people in the community. So I think this is a really awesome opportunity. I just want to briefly say, I started ballet 3 years ago. I met Ivan maybe about 7 months ago, cold calling dance studios, and I maybe cold called like 200 dance studios, and then I ended up getting in touch with your staff and with you, and you've just been so supportive over me and my goals, and I've always been very vocal about that. But I just want to say, man, you're like a mentor to me. You're a really good friend now, so I'm really excited to be on this project with you and talking about ballet and business, because those are the two. I think that's where we can relate. As we that those are our passions, ballet and business. So now I'm actually the director of marketing for your studio, which is a new venture for me, and it's going to be a big challenge, but a lot of fun as well. So, but I just want to ask you a little bit about how you got into ballet, like because that was obviously the start of it all, right? You're still pretty young. I know sometimes you say I'm an old guy, but it's like you're still really young, right? You're like this young business owner, and I think it's very impressive because most people at your age, they don't have a full-on business like to the scale of the full-on dance studio in Orange County and what that entails. So I want to see a little bit of the context in the background of like how you got into ballet and how you got to this point.
Yeah, thanks so much, Aaron. We're really happy to have you at Pryntsev Ballet Academy. Really excited about that opportunity to work together. It's such a pleasure, and we are very happy to support you in your journey. That's such a pleasure.
Thank
So
you.
going back to a young age, when I was young, like 9, 10 years old, around that, and I wasn't good at school at all. It was boring to me. Really, going from the school, and it just wasn't resonating. I wasn't one of the good students. Later, I become a little bit better, but from the beginning, I was just a pretty bad student. One of the naughty boys. I was the naughty boy, basically. So,
I think you still are kind of. No, I'm just. You're still a naughty boy, but we all are in our own ways.
in our own ways, that's right. Yes. I wouldn't say naughty, maybe more crazy right now
Yeah.
than naughty. I would definitely say that. But going back 9, 10 years old, and I watched a movie. It's called Step Up. Step Up, I think Step Up 3, the different episodes of that movie, the first, second, and third. So I watched third one in New York, and I watched the movie one time, and I get so inspired. I get so inspired. I didn't know what is it feels inside of me, and they did like kind of hip hop movement and dance, and it just so resonated with my heart, and I felt that I just want to do it. I didn't know why. I never thought about any opportunities, job. I didn't know what is out there. I never heard even about theater. I
Wait,
was 9 years
how old were
old.
you? 9 years old?
About
Okay.
around 9 to 10 years old. I never heard about ballet back then, right? I watched that movie. They were doing all these things, cool things, and I get so inspired. I really get so inspired. So what I did next, I went to YouTube and I started learning YouTube. I think it was of Contacte, like a VK, the social media that are Telegram right now too. So I went to that. I started searching dance classes, and I had like mirror. I don't know, like 4 by 8 or something. And I was just standing in living room and doing all of these things by myself. And my grandma, she probably thought that I'm a little cuckoo. But I was doing that for a long time. I just got super excited. And then in school, people start recognizing that Ivan is a dancer.
Were you doing hip hop?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. I was not doing the hip hop. It wasn't a hip hop. It was some kind of weird dance. I forget the name of the dance with the legs and like switching. But I mean, cool. The music was really cool though. So and I was practicing self-taught myself in front of the mirror and doing all of these things. And then in school I started being recognized as Ivan is a dancer. Ivan is dancer now, And so with that said, they offer me, say, hey Ivan, can you prepare a small dance recital with you and your friends? And I'm like, sure, why not? So during the math time, when everybody was doing math and learning things, a lesson. Everybody was doing the lesson, right? And then so I was practicing on the back of the room with my friends how to do all of these things, and then we perform at the end of the week. And then since then, I got really, really inspired by all of these moves. And then I had two options: either I will go in after and take care of the cars, fixing cars, because I really like the cars. I'm really car enthusiast.
Really? I
Yes.
actually didn't know that about you.
Yeah,
Eh,
yeah, I'm a big car enthusiast. I love cars. I like Japanese cars. I like turbocharging and all of these things. And I had that option, and I had another option is to go at university and get a diploma as a professional ballet dancer. So I was like, I didn't.
But how did you get to ballet though? Because there's something because like for me, like I wanted to start in contemporary dance and then I fell in love with ballet, right? But so like you started like with this kind of hip hop or fusion type dance that you were doing. So how did you get from that to ballet though?
Good question. Good question. So what happened is the most that I learn, actually, also I want to mention, the most things that I learn, it's from social media. Okay, I didn't learn much in school. I learned how to write really nicely on social media because I was have to have a communication skills with the people, right? So and I met a person in social media that that person got me very excited about ballet, very inspired about ballet, and that person was in Kiev. Doing ballet and learning ballet a lot, and I get super excited about that opportunity. And she told me that, Ivan, you can go and get a job as a professional dancer, you can do all of these things. And I didn't know, my family never shared with me. So I grew up in the small town, I never know about ballet or anything. So she explained me how it works, and I was like, now I want to become a professional ballet dancer because this is so exciting. And so, man, I got in university, okay? I never even see ballet before that. So I was at the first year of university. I never even see ballet performance yet. I went to the performance. I see the Swan Lake. I was amazed. The jumps, and it got me so excited. So excited. So I actually, no, to be honest, I actually did see the ballet because it was like a long time ago. It was like 10 or 11 years old. I'm sorry. Yes. So I did see the ballet performance a little bit on social media, where that person get me excited, share the video with me, and I get very inspired. And then I see the same ballet later at the first year of university that I went to, and I just get super super inspired, super inspired. And I was trying to get myself in university, practicing every day in front of the mirror, doing all this stretching, taking a train to a city to a dance class. I had a few dance classes, and after my school, of course. So it was pretty intense, but I was really inspired. I know that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is what I want to connect myself to. And it was just, I wasn't pushing. I feel like it was a pull. It feels like it was pulling me inside that world.
And you were living in Ukraine at the time?
I lived in Ukraine. I live in the small town. Yeah, small town with my grandma.
Now, so you started pretty late then,
Uh,
compared to what most people do.
I did. I did. It took me about 3 to 4, 6 months to do the hip hop, right? Then I met that person on social media, and that person got me really inspired. And inspired. It got me really inspired, and then since then I was just pushing. And
But you didn't start ballet until university? Until about that age? What age would that be? About 18?
1 year before
So
I
what
start,
age was that?
I start was 3 2. I'm sorry. Yes, it was. It took me three years in hip hop later. 3 years. So from 10 to about 13, I was doing hip hop, and then I get myself into ballet in between 10 to 13. I don't remember.
What
It was
age do you do university in Ukraine?
15.
15.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's a little bit different. I'm thinking 18,
Yeah,
US. Yeah.
15 we going to,
Interesting.
yeah, so our grade 9, we end grade 9 in school, and then after grade 9 it's 15 years old, we go straight to a college. It's called a college university, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I would say college. Yeah, and then you get your mid mid degree, not the highest degree, but the mid degree, like at the school, and then mid degree, and then university. So it was the mid degree for me.
But it was still pretty late, right? I mean, because you see, like most professional ballet dancers, they start pretty young, like 3, 4, 5 years old. I think guys sometimes get a little more grace and they're allowed to start a little bit later and still be considered because there aren't as many guys that do ballet, right? So they're a little bit more sought after. But like what Misty Copeland was like the oldest female, or maybe not the oldest, but she was like 13 when she started or something, right? So, and that was like old to start ballet. But I the only reason I touch on that is because it takes a lot of work when you're starting at that late of an age to get into it and to actually do it professionally, right? I mean, obviously, that's what I'm fighting after, starting really late and much later than you started. But yeah. So what made you choose that path of ballet? Because you had two very different paths you could go down, and what made you say, okay, ballet is it. This is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to dedicate myself to this, and this is going to be my life.
You see, usually people make decision by how much money I will make, right? But dancers, they don't think that way. They feel it. They like, oh, I feel that way, that I want to dance, I want to get better. This is my next step. This is what I love to do. I didn't feel that way. So of course, I probably would make a lot more money if I would go fixing the cars than than doing ballet. But I feel constant pull, that it was pulling me toward dancing, and I feel challenged. And I heard about opportunities. You can travel, you can go to cruise, you can dance on cruises, you can dance in theater, and I felt like it was a great choice for me at that moment. And I just love ballet, and I couldn't stop.
Yeah, no, I mean, I could definitely relate to that, like that pull that you have from ballet, like you can't live without it, right?
Right.
So I definitely understand that. And I actually just was talking to a buddy of mine, and my buddy is like, "Hey, I'm thinking about getting into such and such business, because you can make a lot of money from it." And he's all, "What do you think?" And my response to him was, "Well, what I think is, when we're younger, the question is, what can I do to make money?" But now I realize more and more that's not the right question to ask. The right question to ask is actually, what am I passionate about? What do I actually want to do with my life, right? So, and I think that that's the wiser way to think, because you could always make money from anything, right? So what did it look like actually going pro, or going down that route and dancing professionally? Like, what kind of opportunities did you find? How did you get to that point? What kind of connections did you make?
The path that I choose, I thought it would be hard, but nobody explained me before that it would be really, really hard. Do you know how is it in army? When you go to army, you can, imagine a little bit, right? That's really disciplined, strict, wake up at 5 a.m., do those kind of things. Man, I barely remember my first year of college because it was constantly wake up, go, come back, wake up, go, come back. We were busy. We were busy from we woke up. I was living in the, what's it called? The college, they giving you a room,
Or like a dorm?
a dorm. I was
Yeah.
living in the dorm, yeah. So, and then it was constant. You wake up so early, and then you get on the bus, you drive to the college, you train, you have a ballet class at 8:30 a.m. So usually I don't like to come 10 minutes before because it was freezing. It was minus 30 Celsius. I'm not sure what is in Fahrenheit, but it's really cold. And so you want to come back, you want to take some time to stretch your hip a little bit because it was for me really important. I couldn't do good in class, I felt like I couldn't do good in class because I'm not warm. So I have to come about 15, 20 minutes earlier to just warm up a little bit to do a few different things. And it was super intense because that was 4 years every day for like 10 months. Yeah, 10 months, 10 to 11 months. That's what we did. It felt like army, really strict. And then your teachers always yelling at you, trying to make you better. Back then, I thought that he hates me. He hates me so much. He hates me. He really can stand by me when I'm doing a thing or two. Um, it was yeah, I it came to me later when I started teaching, when I started training my students, and that I actually he loves me. I can actually now I understand he loves me. He loves me. He wished the best for me. He trained himself really strongly and had high expectation for himself, and he had high expectations for us. So my teacher, he is my mentor, he's my dad. He's everything to me. I never had dad, but he become one for sure. He's the family. Unfortunately, I'm not able to call him today anymore because he's not with us. But he had really hard life. He lose his family in the car accident, and he lose his daughter later too. It was just so much drama in his life, and he's such a strong person. He come back. He didn't give up. He had strength to come back. So he was a big person to all of us, for me for sure, and he become like a dad to me. He never heard that from me, unfortunately, but I wish I would say that to him. And he was come back to your question. He was yelling every day. He hit us. I wouldn't say abuse, right? Many people in America, they will say, "Oh, you guys abused in Russia or Ukraine. You abuse." So certain way, maybe, but I think it's for the best to do better. And I'm not saying that I like it. He hit us sometimes really hard, punch like with the hand on the butt. And sometimes he's just like, I do something wrong. He's like, and then he's like running toward me. No, I love him. And I know the reason why he did that is to break me, break my character, and said, there's another level, Ivan, you gonna go. And it was really intense and training in the college, and after that you study academics too. So from 8:30 till 12 or 1 you dancing, do ballet, contemporary, duet, partnering, other things, and then you have a little break, then you go and you study from 1 to like 4 to 5 p.m. academics, all the other things, history and so forth. And after that you have a little break, and then you have theater rehearsals, performances. This is what it is. And then yeah, that was like that for 4 years every day.
So you're relatively nice then, because I've taken a couple of your classes. I've had the opportunity, and I was so thankful for that. And some people might think you know you are very rigid, and you are in a lot of ways. But that's kind of like Vaganova, right? But when you look at compared to like the people that taught you or taught like back in the day, like you're actually like really soft and nice comparatively. But the teacher that you had, that's such a heartwarming story in general, and a little bit sad, right, to hear about those things that he had to go through. But I think that, one thing I've been thinking about recently and realizing is that being a dancer or like a ballet dancer, that you have a certain toughness about you and a certain ability to adapt to the challenges in life that maybe the average person or non-dancer might not have to the same degree. And not to say that other people in other professions couldn't have that. Certainly they do. But you understand what I'm saying is like when you do ballet, it's so disciplined. It's one of the most difficult things that you can even do in life, right? And I love that your analogy, about being in the military. It's like so disciplined and rigid, and you got to get up every morning and you got to go to class whether you feel like it or not, and you have to train. So, I just think that I would think and speculate that maybe your teacher had to go through those hard, difficult times, but that he was able to come back, partially thanks to dance, right? Thanks to the passion that he had for it, and thanks to the discipline that he received from dance, and how his character was built through that, right? Like certainly it wasn't easy. So I guess maybe one question I would have for you is, as you grew up and you were dancing, certainly you had a lot of difficult times that you went through. You mentioned that you didn't have a father growing up and stuff like that, and I'm sure you had other difficult circumstances, and I'm just wondering if you wanna talk a little bit about maybe how ballet has helped you, your character, and helped you to get through those difficulties in life.
I will be honest, I'm not sure how it is connected, but if we can look at the dancers of, Ivan Vasiliev or Natalia Osipova or all of the very high-ranking dancers in the world, very famous, and if you will listen them, or Mikhail Baryshnikov too, will listen them, that there's a big story behind it, and there was such a big challenges in their life, right? We certainly not go to dance just for fun, but unintentionally we get connected to it. Unintentional, not behind our mind, we get connected to it and feel that pull. But if we will dig down and look what it is, that we were missing before when we were in our childhood, and then we might realize that, we dancing and we doing these performances and trying to achieve these new goals. That's because for our childhood, and there was something missing there when we were young. So I think all of us has big challenges in life, not having fathers or struggling in life. But for me, back then, I didn't realize what it is. Why am I dancing? I just felt constant pull and interest, and I knew that if I will keep doing that, I'll have a better life.
Yeah, definitely, and I mean, I've gone through some really difficult times myself, and I know that ballet has been a constant for me in that, right? So, like, going and taking private lessons and training consistently every week. I went through some pretty severe depression, and thank God I'm over that now. And I give the credit to God, but I think that God used ballet as like the primary driver in my life, and
Right.
like you said, a calling, and it just kept pushing me and helping me be more disciplined. And overall, it just brought me through some really difficult times. So yeah, maybe that's something that most or all dancers can relate to in some sort of way.
Yeah, but also I want to share with you that I wasn't mentioning a lot of things, but going through the college time and trying to become a professional ballet dancer, working with the people who were one already in the company, it was really intense. And when we're talking about abusing, right, and no, teacher was trying to make you better, but the company, teachers was nice, right, but the company and dancers and community inside, it's very toxic. In Ukraine, based in Ukraine, there's some good people, and there's some very very toxic people that, I'll be honest with you, not hold it back at all. After the rehearsals, if we were looking down a little bit or do something else or didn't really study, we're not supposed to study or learn for them to dance for them because we wasn't earning that much. We can come back to the room afterwards and get beat up completely. We were scared to come back. So sometimes me and my friend, I'm not gonna call the name, but yeah, we just pass see when we're coming out of our room, big room, right? And we have our dressing room right here to go and relax and rest. And sometimes I just skip that room for now and just go take a walk for a little bit, to let them come down because it was really scary sometimes to just I'm scared to get beat up, right? When
Wait, by who exactly? By the like other people in
other
the company?
yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
it was really tough. It was really scary first 2 years. And I mean, if you want to be like them, you just have to be like them to be friends with them, right? But I was always want to be different. I was always want to stay longer in classroom, do a little bit more, do other things. And I didn't want to live life like they did, and that's why when I had a opportunity to go with Moscow Ballet, Great Russian Nutcracker here dancing, I felt like there's no way I would return because I was just afraid to come back. I was just afraid of that life, just afraid of that life, of that abuse every day, and I felt like that's just I have to escape.
No, that experience, was that, at Nipro? Was that the
Yeah,
company with Nipro?
yeah.
Okay, so then how was your experience? And I also, I kinda wanna get into how you went from there to, because that was your first kind of professional experience, right?
Right.
So how did you get from there to Moscow Ballet, and was the environment any better in Moscow?
Well, most of the dancers there were Ukrainian. It was just called Moscow.
I see.
Yeah, but it's just merch. So it's all over the world dancers. They just get merged together, company name, and just go ahead and tour.
Was
Yeah,
Moscow Ballet based out of Moscow, or
all over, all
okay?
over, all over. But the dancers was really good. Yeah, dance was really good. Very well trained. Everybody. Yeah.
Is that the company that was attached to Dnipro,
Um,
or was that a different?
Different companies.
Okay.
So that we just merged. So we have a dancer from Dnipro, from Moscow, from all over. Right.
So was the environment any better? Did it get any easier getting along with your fellow dancers, let's say, and having better relationships with them when you went to Moscow Ballet?
Well, what do you think if we were traveling for 2 months, living in the bus, and I thought to stop earlier to escape before the tourist ends? What do you think?
Well, you did tell me a brief story about how you didn't really say goodbye to anybody. You just kind of packed your
I
bags
didn't.
and left,
I didn't.
and that was at the end of your
Well,
tour.
also don't get me wrong. There's a good people, right? But and there's a bad people that I think they give that hard time to others because they have hard time, and it wasn't just healthy. You gotta put yourself in the environment to grow, right? I'm listening to a lot of successful people, and I said, well, if you're gonna be around people who brings you down every day, you're gonna be down, right? Or maybe you're different and you're super strong, then you can sustain that to outgrow of them and yourself. But it was just really tough to be in that environment. Very tough every day.
Well, yeah, I mean, and like you said, I guess it could take you one of two ways, depending on. But like, I wouldn't even say that you're not strong if you have trouble dealing with that situation, or like can't even get past it, because ballet's already so hard, right? It's like ballet is hard. So to be in a negative environment, pursuing one of the most difficult professions that you can possibly pursue, that like is like mentally, physically just pushing you to your limit. Yeah, that's very difficult, and it just goes to show how important it is, right, for the dance community to be more supportive of each other. And it's so weird, right? Because, like if you're a boy, I wasn't a young boy doing ballet, but I know I've heard stories like if you're a young boy doing ballet, you're weird. You know what I mean? That's how society looks at you, at least in the US, maybe other places too, I don't know. So it's like it's already difficult enough. And then if you're getting this negative energy from the other dancers, then it's like that's terrible, right? Because those are the people that you feel that you should be able to get support from and support, and that's how it should be, right? And I mean, I even see it in the most innocent of ways, and I say innocent lightly, but like, I've seen reels on Instagram or something recently where it's like girls are making fun of ballet boys, like, oh, the ballet boys, and it's just like stupid things like the way that they're trying to point their toes but not pointing their whole foot, or just like stupid stuff. And I'm like, I get it, it's in good fun, but is it really appropriate? Maybe not, because these kids already have a hard enough time with their self-esteem, and ballet does help with self-esteem, right? It helps you build confidence, but if you're in the right environment, I think.
But you see, you can look at the reels and you can see the girls making fun of the boys. Or you can look at the Ivan Vasilyev and you can see how mature it is to jump like that, how strong you have to be, and how disciplined you have to be. That's a different way to pursue ballet. And I think when the boys looking at those reels and see that girls making fun of them, the boy should say, well, I know, I saved the video, I know my fan dancers Sergei Polonin or Ivan Vasilyev, Mikhail Baryshnikov, they're amazing, strong, they do all of these lifts and performance. I think it's very men's and mature things to do, even though you're in tights. I get that, right? But that's just the way we're dancing. That's just the beauty of it.
Right. Yeah. No, for sure. And I think that there's, I think that people are becoming more accepting of it in a lot of ways. I've talked to some people who are very like old school, very traditional, and I'm like, hey, I do ballet. Sometimes I've liked to just tell people, well, because I love talking about it. But sometimes I've told people just to see what their reaction's going to be, just because I'm that kind of person. I'm very out there, as you know. So I've told like, the most just, you would never think that they would think it was cool or accept it. And I'm like, I do ballet. And they're like, oh, yeah, 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 that's cool. So I'm like, I'm noticing that like people are becoming more accepting of it. And I mean, maybe it's carrying yourself with that confidence and stuff too, right?
I
But
think I think, sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you,
No,
Aaron.
you're good.
I think the world, the the 21st century, right? The world is still not educated enough about ballet and how positive, how cool it is, to be honest, because people think of ballet as a tutu and the point shoes, right? That's how everybody think about it, but never people never think about that's the boys in ballet, they jump so high. It's incredible. It's just incredible. The feelings on stage or the partnering dancing in classical ballet. It's so beautiful. So I think if we continue educating the world that men's in and it's very men's in ballet, it's a very mature things to do.
Yeah, and you need men in ballet. Like when you watch a ballet show, like a big ballet production or something, like a story's being told, is you usually have like a pas de deux. You have like the man has to be involved, and there's a certain like romance to like a romantic aspect to ballet, right? And that like you have to have both, right? Man and woman to complete that, I think. Personally, that's just my opinion. So not that every ballet has to have that, right? But
Yeah.
but I think that that's really traditional, like a part of it, right?
Yeah.
So I want to just go into, how you had your professional career and you went to Dnipro, you went to Moscow Ballet, you toured, you did like 70 Nutcrackers
In 2 months,
in
yeah.
2 months,
Yeah,
which is, yeah,
it was crazy. 3 performances, in 1 day sometimes. So
yeah. So I'm sure you were just completely just exhausted. And then you have the negative people too. And then, so you're just probably just totally drained at this point, I imagine.
uh, it was draining. Yeah, yeah. I just felt locked, in that company. I wasn't feel free. I was wanna feel free, just sit in the car and drive. I didn't have a driver license. I was 20 years old. And then we in the nearest that we were to California is the Colorado, and I thought like, "Oh, where am I gonna get a car, start driving?" I never drove a car. You know what I mean? Like I was just thinking about it, and then no, I finished it. I got a ticket and I fly to California.
Okay, so you did 70 Nutcrackers. That was like all in the US?
Yeah, yeah, it was all in US, and after that, I was just decide to buy tickets and go to California in the end. And in the morning, um, we woke up. I mean, I left at night. I left at midnight.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
just left. You didn't tell anyone you were going.
No,
Yeah.
no. I would just drop all my stuff wherever I don't need it and put the most important stuff where me and Ivan together, and we just took all of our stuff and just left, quietly.
Did you have any more like obligation to the company or anything like contractually or
No, no, no obligation, no obligation. I complete my contract. I was free to go.
right? So the you leaving quietly was just more because people maybe they didn't treat you right. So it's kind of like
I was I was afraid that they will stop us.
I see.
So I was afraid that that opportunity will fall down and I wouldn't be able to accomplish because they would stop us.
Yeah.
So that's why I was afraid of that.
So 70 Nutcrackers is a lot. Like I was completely drained after doing 2 Nutcracker performances, right? So recently with your studio and I remember the next day I just went home and I slept all day and ate all day and just like I was completely drained. So I can only imagine what it would be like to do 70 Nutcrackers in a month.
I mean, it wasn't just about Nutcracker. It was also about the bus and the Walmart. So, you drive from one place to another, one place to another, and you got the Walmart, you go to that stop, you get your $75 per performance, 50 to $75 per performance. And, you just driving, you try to save some money.
Yeah.
That's it.
So you left, you flew out to California. Did you At what point did you start thinking about opening up a dance studio and
Oh,
starting to think about the business side of dance?
I was just thinking about Hollywood. I had that idea. It's like, oh, I'm gonna come to Hollywood. I'm ballet dancer. I'm just gonna go. It's just gonna pick up so easy. Just gonna go like that. So we came to Hollywood and to LA. I had people that I met online. Her name is Olga. Olga. Yeah, it's a very nice family. They took me in and they said, "Hey, you want to teach my son and my daughter to do stretching? They need flexibility, and you can live with us. We can help you a little bit." So okay,
That's a pretty good trade, I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks to them. That was big one. So I stayed with them for a little bit, and I was kind of like deciding what I'm gonna do. And it was really hard because the paperwork and everything was in process. So I started seeing people applying things about the paperwork, how we're gonna handle that, and I didn't have a job. I had I had $3,600. Okay, and I paid to my lawyer do the paperwork, so everything is legally my documents, to stay here. I paid $3,000 and $600 left, and that's it.
And I'm guessing that was money that you saved up from doing the Nutcrackers.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Amazing. So that was an awesome opportunity to dance professionally, but it also was a big part of the reason you were even able to transition into the US at the time.
Yeah, but I had so much interest, going since then and going to Hollywood. I thought that everything is just gonna come to me. I don't have to do it. Like everything's gonna be so easy. It's LA. It's super cool, but no, things was really tough.
Yeah.
It felt like a ladder that you're gonna go one step and then another and then another, and you were like grinding up. Grinding.
Right.
Really, it was really tough.
Yeah, and I talked to a friend of mine recently and told her I plan on becoming a professional dancer, and she's supportive, but she was very hesitant when I said that, and she goes, you know, I have friends who are dancing professionally and they're couch surfing. She was kind of, I understood where she was coming from. She kind of trying to give me some perspective, like, hey, this isn't easy, and not everyone makes it, and most people probably don't make it. So, I actually also moved to Southern California because of Hollywood and LA. I wanted to actually become a filmmaker, and that's still something that I'm passionate about. But I think ballet trumps it in some sort of way for me. But originally I wanted to become a filmmaker in Hollywood, and so I moved to Southern California, and the rest is history. So I could relate to you on that. It's like,
It
hey,
was
this is where the opportunity's at. So
If you ask me why do you move to California, I would say, it's a sunset and the palms. It doesn't feel that this way today. It feels a little bit different than it was back then when I was younger. But yeah, I was 20 years old. 20. I didn't speak English at all. I didn't know what I'm doing. I didn't have anything. I didn't have any resources. I didn't rely on my family. It's not like I can call my family and say, "Hey, send me money." No, not at all. No,
so that's when you were already thinking of the business side when you moved to Hollywood
no, I wasn't.
well, as a freelance, you wanted to maybe be a freelance dancer.
I was thinking to get to the company to dance, but it was incredibly hard because there's no such place. If I would go to New York, probably things would turn out very differently, to be honest. So, but I was thinking about California, the opportunities, how luxurious it is, how nice it is here. So we tried. It was really difficult with paperwork and everything. Everything was in process, and we tried two, three times, four times, and then we stopped. Yeah, me and Ivan, we stopped, and
Thank God you didn't move to New York, because me and you might not be sitting here today.
might not be sitting here. Yeah, yeah. The Pryntsev Ballet Academy might not
Good.
exist. Yeah,
Or if it did, maybe in a different location or something.
maybe.
Okay, so you moved to Hollywood or LA. At some point, you realized things weren't going to be quite the way that you expected. So, what kind of happened in between that and becoming the owner of Pryntsev Ballet Academy? When did that thought occur to you? How did it come about? Give me a little context or detail on that.
Yeah. So for a while, me and Ivan we split up, and we didn't go at the same journey. He was in LA, and Olga, she brought me inside her house and give me an opportunity. So I was there for a little bit, but then she recommended me to one of her friend in Chino Hills. He has a dance studio, but the dance studio for ballroom, and it's called Arthur Murray. They're a franchise. So he bring me in. I didn't speak English. I was start learning English from morning till night every day for a long, long time. It took me about 3 months to really understand what people say, and it took me another 3 months to say something so people can at least understand me a little bit, right? And I was working there for a long time and listening him and trying to understand what is the structure, how to teach, how to speak, and he gave me a lot of business skills. I think working for the franchise gave me a lot of business skills.
Yeah, and they're a big chain now, or I don't know if
Very
they were at
big,
the time, but
very
Arthur
big,
Murray, they
very.
have a lot of locations.
They're very successful.
Yeah, very
Very
successful.
successful. So I was working there for a while. I didn't have any other opportunities but that, and Of course, since I live in that house with them and I work for them, they didn't pay me much. Okay, and then later, they start paying me. They say, okay, so you have your extended period of time you work here, and then now we will be able to pay you. And I got the paperwork, so that's the reason they start paying me, because I get a paperwork. So they start paying me, and it was like it was part time. I think they said from 3 till 9 or something. They pay me like I live in their house too and eat too and everything. And so they pay me about six to $700. Yeah. And I started to realize that Ivan in LA makes thousands of dollars by doing moving job. Uh, and I was like, well, I'm being here. I know I'm investing in myself, in my English. I will speak English. I will do things better. I'm taking new skills. But $700 wasn't sustainable. So I took another job and working with the people in Chino Hills. That they have I think it's called Q Shark, the moving company, and they took me in. They said, okay, you can work with us. And every weekend I was calling them and I was looking for more jobs to make more money, to make my life sustainable, because it was just not sustainable. It's really scary. So I worked with those people, and I called them and I begged them for the job. I say, please give me the job. Please give me the job. I didn't speak English. I didn't even, know if they're gonna work with me. So I work really hard with them, and such an kind people. I know they have different backgrounds. Some of them was in jail, some of them did other things, bad things too, but they were really kind to me. They were really kind to me. I was very surprised. They were super kind. We went on the job on the second weekend. I asked them and I was like, please, oh, this is a nice story that I want to share with you. I came to the job and we were like, who is going to work today? They called 3 people, but needs to be 2 people. And I'm like, I need the job. I need really the job. So, and we were doing that things. What is it called?
Oh, rock,
But
paper, scissors.
yes, to get the job, because I was needed money. And I felt so bad because I won.
That's a very diplomatic way to decide.
Very so I felt bad because a person has a family. He has a children, right? And then I felt so bad that I won and I still went on the job and I work. But the weekend later, I didn't have a car. I got my driver license soon. And then I didn't have a car. So in the weekend later, we went on a long job from 7:30 a.m. till 3 a.m. right the next day. I made like $900, almost 1,000. Guess what? I was like, I need a car. So I started looking an offer up. I was like, okay, that's my baby, Toyota Corolla 1997.
Back when you could get a car for $1,000.
Yeah, surprisingly, really surprisingly, because before you can actually buy a car for $700 to $1,000 car. You can actually do that. So I get Toyota Corolla 1997, 205,000 miles. A lot of miles, right? Over 200,000 miles.
Right.
That's a lot of miles. And so but I was super excited and super happy. And I was babying that car, and I'm not pushing over 3,000 RPM. So it's always under, so the car can go a long way. Sooner after that story there, I get a car and I get super excited. I still work for the moving company. And me and the employer, it wasn't working for me anymore. It was just I was spending most of my time working there, not having anything else, not earning a lot, $700. And I asked them to raise a paycheck, because I also said, well, I know, guys, we want to live by yourself. And I think for me, it's time to go to find my own apartment. I look at apartments, so like, how much is the room? The room is $700. How much is the food? Okay, $300. How much is the car? So, okay, about $200 a month, something to fix gas and everything else. Like, they're going to pay me $900. Is that enough? Yeah. So I started looking for the room. I found the room. Me and the owner wasn't really in a really good relationship. If something already was off. I was not happy because they did not give me the job that pays. And how I supposed to live if they didn't give me the job to pays, right? And so I was looking on Facebook Marketplace for a room, and I found a lady, and she had a photo that she has a dance studio inside. Okay, she had a dance studio inside her house.
Right.
Very nice floor, really good floor, mirror, everything was great.
I would die.
I went right away to there and I'm like, yeah, I'm able to take it. Yeah, how much is it? And she got so excited because her daughter was professionally dancing, by the way, at near school. I'm not gonna call the name. So I met her and everything starts spinning around. She had a customers. She brought the customers. I started teaching a lot. I started making a lot of money at
Wait, so you were living at the house,
I moved.
and so were you paying her rent, or
Yes.
but she was bringing students to you to teach at the house where the studio was at?
Yes. Yeah, my it was partnership.
Amazing.
It was yes, yes. So
Amazing.
I started with two student. I started with two student that did start pick it up. It was 7, 10, and then our relationship with that lady went bad for in a different way. I'll try to I would wish not to disclose that. And then and so after that I left my employer at the Arthur Murray. I left. I sit down in the car and I was so happy. It was so sunny. I was like, okay, this is great. My next step forward. Okay, I have $600. I have that car. I had $400 after I buy the car. Okay. I sit down and I start driving. It was so beautiful, man. It was the feelings that is just like excited. And I start driving, and my car started be like, like that. I don't know what happened to my engine, but I pull off on freeway, and I'm like, okay, here we are. I had one of my friends, Taleo, and I call him. I met him in another studio when I was doing masterclass. Yeah, I get invited a little bit for master classes in Orange County. And I just stuck on freeway and the employer was passing by and he helped me still. I was
Who?
like,
Arthur Murray?
yes,
Oh,
yes, yes, they still help me. They
yeah.
give me AAA so we top the car.
Right.
And yeah, I had $400 broken car. I didn't
Uh,
know what to do. I had that lady that I just moved in and I was start teaching for her a little bit and I called her and I said, "Hey, my car got broken and I'm so scared." She wasn't even my mom, right?
right.
And
But you
she's like,
guys were partnering at that point, and so it's, you know, it's
I'm super
yeah.
grateful to her, to be honest. I'm really grateful. She helped me so much. I don't even realize how much you helped me back then to start the spinning the wheel, right? And it was amazing that I called her. She's like, "Hey, don't worry, everything will be fine. We'll find out." So eventually we find out we took, and it needs to be spark plugs need to be changed. So the car was fine. The car was going.
That was the only problem?
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy. Yeah, that's easy
Yeah.
and cheap.
So they changed it. I spent another $100. I had $300, and I was like, good. So I sent my resume to different schools over the summer intensive, and the school in Orange County took me in for the summer intensive. They give me the job. I start making money. I start making money instead of like $700-800. I start making thousands of dollars,
And
like
you
a
were
thousand, a two, a three, because I was teaching summer intensive in the morning, right, from morning till noon. Then I have a break to go back to Chino Hills from Orange County, and I continue teaching for 5 hours. So I was like, yeah, no eat, no needed. I'm driving, working, and I become so unhealthy at the same time too. It was just too much in my body. I didn't even realize that, but I become so unhealthy, so skinny, working. That feelings to get that safety net. Yeah,
and you were teaching classical ballet?
classical ballet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow, but I mean, what an opportunity, right? To go from you were dancing professionally and now you're teaching what, like, I don't know if it would be full time, but you're teaching constantly. So I think that that's really a good example of how you were able to really live out your calling, right? And fulfill your purpose. But yeah, I mean, we tend to do that, right? And I think me and you, we still talk about that a lot, is how we can have a healthy work-life balance because we're pushing so hard, right? And I'm always telling you, you got to take a day off. You got to take a day off.
Right.
And I know that's something that you're personally working on, and I have to give you a lot of credit because I think that you're making the movements. But I could see how easy it is to fall into an unhealthy lifestyle in the pursuit of success and happiness, right? So, I mean, when did the point come where you hopefully realized that you weren't healthy and maybe took a look at things and kind of changed things to take more care of yourself?
Mm. well, back to the story. Fast
Yeah.
forward, our relationship went bad with the woman that was helping me for certain reasons, and unfortunately, right. But I was very grateful. I was really really grateful that she gave me that opportunity. So I started accepting the job. I accepted the job for the season in Orange County. So I moved here, and I also invite Ivan as like Ivan, let's merge together, come back and let's do it together. So he came to Orange County. I was in Orange County. I was teaching more. He wasn't want to teach back then. He doesn't like to teach. He was like, oh, I don't feel that way. But I was teaching a lot, getting different opportunities from one school, from another, from rhythmic gymnastic. For a while, I was doing that, and then kind of to 2019. It was 2019. Kind of things are going okay, okay, and then COVID hit. Right, COVID hit really, really hard, and all the job stops, all the teachings, everything stops so fast, like at no time. And one of the employers, he said, "Help us, just help us. We don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. Just help us." So we sit down together, and he said, "Well, it would be really good to get somebody from Moscow to teach master classes over the Zoom." And I'm like, "Sure, I think it's a great idea. Let's do it." And so he gave me all the operations. Not he gave me all the operation. He said you're allowed to operate, but there was no operation. There was uh, no instruction how to operate a dance studio. So I started to figure out how to do that. And I met my closest friend, the dearest friend that helped me so much throughout my journey. Her name is Susan. I met Susan, and Susan was helping me to help that owner to run the school during the COVID. Okay, and I was there day and night working, trying to get the customer, resolving the problem and issues, talking to people, getting people. We invite Maria Horiva. I think it's Maria Horiva. So she was one of the on Instagram, one of the well-known dancers that do all these beautiful things, and a great dancer from Mariinsky Theater.
Yeah, she's actually, yeah, she's very famous. Yeah, I know Maria. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So we invite her for a week, and then we invite a lot of famous people from the world to Zoom. And so we were holding those classes online on Zoom, and I was one of them to organize. I was one of the organizer. And after that, COVID went a little bit down, so students started returning back. And I over this summer, it's the next summer, 2020 summer, I think. And then, they were really unhappy about how I do things, what I do. They come to me and they said, "Hey, I think you're not really qualified for that rate that we pay you right now. I think we should pay you less." And at first, I was like, "Well, I'm gonna lose my job. I'm gonna lose my job. I was ready because it was during the COVID. So, and I need make more money to live in California. So I was taking an Uber job. I was doing Uber job at the same time as helping them. So because I have to, I need to sustain myself. But yeah, we just sit down together and said we weren't really not unhappy with what you do in here. And I wasn't doing anything bad. I was helping, running, talking to the people, to the customers. One thing that I came to the owner and I asked because I felt like I wanted, is to create my own Yelp, my own name, and say Ivan Pryntsev. And so, because this is important,
Yeah, just as a teacher,
reference
as a
as a
teacher.
teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said Ivan Pryntsev, and I want the customers comes to me and give me feedback. Just give me feedback, and so it's a great reference. And I'm not leaving you. I want to be here. And if he would say, please don't do that, I would not do that. But he said, okay. And after that, fast forward, we sit down together and they said, Ivan, you want to steal our students. We don't want you here anymore. Not him, her,
Hmm.
right? Her wife. That's, I'm not going in the details, and she thought that I'm not qualified, unfortunately. But that's okay. That wasn't a problem to me. At first I was a little scared and afraid. I was like, okay, I'm gonna lose the job. I'm gonna lose the job. I'm not sure what to do. I sit down in the car. I start driving, and I get a new car too. I just replace my Toyota Corolla to a new car, and new year, new car, new things. And she said no more. Yes, and I said, please give me an opportunity to work still here, right? I asked that, and she said maybe, sure, maybe. Yeah, that's what they said. And I went and I was super hyper, like super stressed, and I sit down in the car and I I call my friend and I ask, I say, hey, what do you think? What I should do? Maybe I should just leave this. Just leave. Why I have to ask somebody or beg somebody for the job? I know what I'm doing. I brought a lot of good things to them as a person, and it's like maybe I should just open my own classes, my own studio. At that point in the car, I was stressed out completely. I was like shaking after the conversation to losing the job. So guess what? In about 15 minutes later, I called them and I said, I'm leaving. Bye bye. And then after that, I started opening my own classes. I didn't purposely call people or invite anybody from the academy. I wasn't doing that. No, no, not at all. There's two students who follow me because they ask so, and I decide, well, why not? So I reach out a studio. I rent a small place, 10 by 10, maybe a little bigger, maybe like about this room, and I start teaching two students. I had two students in Orange County, and then they wants to compete. They want to go to the competition in that year. And thank you to another my friend Lauren to give me a chance to rent the studio upstairs and start my own business. And since then, teaching two students, I get more family comes, more family brings more families, and working really hard every day, teaching private lessons, teaching small studio, and I thought that would be my next step to open my own location. And I never had any experience in running dance school. I never had experience in doing a business. I know one thing is how to dance and how to teach for the competitions in overall of a good training because I have that's my expertise. So and I decided to move on and owner she the one that was renting space, she offered me her studio. She was selling the studio, and I said no at that point, fortunately or unfortunately, and I moved to my own location. Yeah,
Well, yeah, that's quite a story, and actually, very impressive all around. I think all of the work that you put in, and just the contacts that you made, and sometimes relationships don't work out in business or otherwise, but that could be a blessing in disguise, right? And maybe it was in this case. It was something didn't work out, but it led to you thinking, hey, maybe I don't need to be attached to these other people in order to succeed in what I want to do, right? So, yeah, I think that's an awesome story. So, how did you find the location? What did the logistics look like? Just briefly, getting your own studio, and
yeah.
what were some of the challenges that you encountered opening up and starting out, and maybe even some of the challenges that you still encounter?
Man, that was about 6 months of looking around. You know, dance world, dance activities, it's such important, and I think the cities and overall, I know it's difficult because they have a lot of parking for that, but I think they don't really appreciate dance itself. It's not paid enough in this world, unfortunately. It doesn't value enough, unfortunately, but it shapes children life. It shaped mine. It shapes yours. It shapes so many thousands people. And I think the cities overall should be really more welcome people to open dance schools, but they wasn't. And it was about 6 months looking around for pyramids, permissions, looking to different cities. It was really, really tough to open your own location. And eventually, after 6 months, I was 21, 22 years old. So, of course, when I came to this space and I talked to property manager there, they said, wouldn't think so. Where I begged them on the phone. I talked on the phone, and they were okay on the phone at first. But then when I came, they see me. They was like, "This is such a young guy." I don't think so, and I was really young, 22 years old. So and we signed a contract agreement. They eventually said yes to me. They give me the space, and I went on. I start teaching day and night, 7 days a week, no weekends. It was really intense. The biggest reason it was really intense because first you don't have experience in the business, and the second thing you don't know where you want to bring this place. You're a 22 years old guy that wants to teach, wants to give the education. And I was that person that was like, I want to share it. I want to share it because I know that there's no school in Orange County that can give a great fundamental ballet skills to the age 7, 10. I know there's a great schools who do a good job with the students who are older, but there was no place for those students. So I said I will do that. I know how it is done. I know how difficult it is. I have experience, and I will provide and I will serve those children in Orange County. So I opened back to location in the studio. It was just working seven days a week every day. And the biggest challenge that you 22 years old person, you don't know how to do things. I know how to teach, but I didn't know how to do the business.
I'm a little bit surprised to hear that there wasn't really, because there are a lot of schools in Orange County. I don't know about then, but I imagine there were. Um, and I'm actually a little bit surprised to hear that there weren't really great programs for people within that age range, because I feel like 7 to 10 is such a foundational, like, important period where they really start getting into technique and stuff, right? Because you have like pre-ballet, and when you're in pre-ballet, you kind of just start getting used to like movement and stuff, and there's not really a whole lot of technique involved with it, right?
Right.
But 7 to 10 is really a formative set of years, right, for students learning ballet, and that's kind of the point where they really start to take it seriously, right? So
Yeah. But the problem is, as you can see, all the Russians teachers, Russian Vaganova teachers, who's teaching little ones? Not them. All of the Russian Vaganova teachers teach older students. So I would
like
say
like 12 to 18.
development up, yes, so older levels, right? That wasn't teaching the little ones, not at all. And usually, studios that in Orange County, most of them they don't have a straight curriculum, video courses for the teachers to do particular that kind of job and that kind of semester. It's more as activities. That's how it is presented. It's more as activities. And if many schools, they don't even do the training, the teacher training for their employees, unfortunately, too. So I know that I'm not gonna teach oldest one at first, and I'm gonna go and teach little ones. So, and that's how I focus on 710, and I had a great turnout teaching little ones and growing them, improving them, make them really, really strong.
So, but were you teaching other ages as well at the time, or did you start out just teaching
I teach
7 to 10?
I was teaching, if you look at the schedule of the 40 classes, I was probably teaching 33 33 classes in a week.
But were they just that age range, or were they very
Different, everybody. I was teaching everybody. It's surprisingly that at first we had our two classrooms, two studios upstairs, and then we opened bigger one downstairs.
but just simply the fact that you were Vaganova trained
Yeah,
and very classically based,
yeah,
and you were teaching those 7 to 10 age range, that was what differentiated you as a
very
business.
much.
Would you say that that still differentiates you, or have other studios kind of adapted to your way of doing things?
Well, it I adapted more as the other studios doing. So I started teaching the highest level, level 5 through 8, and I'm training my teachers to do good job with the little ones. Yeah,
How
but I want to come back to the little ones. I think I was really it's giving to me to teach little ones
do
and
you
give the
only
fundamentals.
you
Those
don't train anything under like 12 now, or?
not anymore, not anymore.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, but you have at least one teacher in my mind that comes to mind that does teach the smaller kids, right? And she's Vaganova,
Yes.
right? So you have that foundation in place, and it's kind of like one of those things, like as a business owner, where you kind of have to do it all to start out with, but you want to get to a point eventually where you're not doing it all, and you're able to get people that are really well qualified and able to kind of take over what you're doing in certain aspects, but do it well, right? So I want to talk just a bit about this training that you're talking about. So other schools in general, they tend to kind of just leave the curriculum up to their individual teachers without really coaching them on it. How far are you going? You mentioned videos. Like, do you actually have training videos for your teachers? And
Yes.
so how in depth does that get? Like, is it just some introductory level stuff, or like how deep do you actually get involved in your other teachers' curriculum?
Well, we start very small. We start from pre-academy, from the little level. So we record the video courses for our teachers how to train, give them framework how to teach, because this is important, and make sure they're really merged with the studio vision and values. because if they don't, they can teach something else. Maybe they're great at something else, but we hire a teacher who align with our values, and our value is to train our students at the best way possible, providing them fundamental ballet skills and having a really strong discipline. Yeah. And so every time when we make a hire and we explain them that, and many people that they don't want to do that, they don't want to work really, really hard in class to give that best education to a child. And so we have only teachers who really wants to be persistent with the students, growing their students every day.
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't been to a whole lot of studios, and obviously, I don't interact with all of those teachers on a teaching basis, but I can definitely see the passion in the teachers that you've hired, and how supportive they are, and how they really do have a passion for teaching correctly, right? So, but how deep does that framework go? Like, is it just more, at the time of hiring, more surface level, just to filter through people, or do you have ongoing training? How many, this is kind of a silly way to ask it, but just to give an idea, like quantitatively, like, do they have to go through hours and hours of training? Like, how
They
deep
do.
does it go?
They do. They have to go through the hours, and so the way it's structured, that first, of course, you sort them, right? And we want to have a more resources to give them more, but it's all comes, of course, from me. As much as I can give them feedback and train them on how we teach and our playbooks, so we can give that. We don't have more resources to give them even more of hours, but we eventually plan to do that, to coach them and give them the training 1, 2, 3, 5, 8 on the yearly basis.
Yeah, to like maintaining it.
Maintaining to, yes, yes.
So, do you like tell them, like, here's the specific things that they need to be taught at certain points, like progressively, like, okay, you're gonna start out, you're gonna teach them how to do plies and tendus and da 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 da, and then you're gonna move into, these other combinations, or like then you're gonna start teaching these certain variations. Like, how specific are you?
Is a framework.
Yeah.
I give them framework because, you see, I can teach my student, okay? I can teach my student to do tendu, which is great. But just doing tendu is not going to be enough to become professional ballet dancer, okay? So instead, I'm explaining my student that instead of just thinking of the tendu, also go watch a lot of videos. Also go read a lot of books. Also find your a fan dancer that you are relate to every day, that keep motivates you more and more and more. So I give the framework and I said, this is the value that we have. This is how we teach. This is how we serve our customers, our families, and they follow it.
All right. But do the teachers have then, since it is a framework, the teachers then have a little bit of liberty in their curriculum to
Of
be
course.
able to teach what they want to
Of
teach on
course.
a day to day?
No, they follow playbook. So this level have to achieve this certain outcome by 10 months, done. Another comes, same thing again.
What is an example of an outcome that you might see? Let's just use an example. Like, if you're looking at the students that you teach,
Right.
because all of your framework, but you practice yours, right, daily. So, like, let's say that 12 to 17 age range or whatever that you teach. What is an example? Maybe we're coming up into the new season. So, what is an example of like a goal or an outcome that you would expect to see by a
So
certain point in time for those students?
so such example, level 1, 2, they have to learn certain movement on the floor. They have to deliver certain point on the floor of work. They have to deliver certain movement at the bar. And they have to learn certain position by done.
Yeah.
Same for every level.
Yeah. What do you expect out of your students, the older students, by the end of the season? What is your goal for preparing them for going into whether they choose to pursue dance professionally or not, because not all of them will, right? But I know that some of them will, and we could see, some of your students, I believe, really will become great professional dancers one day, because they're just so passionate and really give it their all, and they have such a great teacher behind them. But what do you do? What are you doing to prepare your oldest students going into the end of the season, or maybe the end of their childhood dance career?
Right. But the most important for them, from me, from my heart, is what my teacher gave it to me, is the discipline, is the consistency, is the uh, really being persistent on what they do every day. And you can teach them a lot of movement, which is we all do, right? Give them certain movement and to try to make them better. But the biggest outcome for me is make sure they can feel the class, they can pick up the combinations. They can pick up those combinations and the highest level and highest ability possibly they can. What does that exactly mean? Mean that I train them on all the tendus, all the pliés, all the fundamental skills. They will train on it, okay? And the next level is to make sure they have enough coordination, enough performance skills, enough confidence in themselves to do better. Because any schools, they want to see good fundamental ballet skills. Any audience wants to see entertainment, right? So again, we have a strong fundamental ballet skills, really well taught, well precise, deliver to every single child who is right now at level 5 and so. And the next step is to make them very coordinated. Make sure they can pick up the combos really, really fast. Make sure they can deliver those combos at the same time. Learn and not forget anything while they're doing it. That's called coordination. Make sure their coordination really, really good. Make sure their confidence. Our many older students, they struggle with so much confidence. So we work on it every single day, give them the boost of confidence. And the performance. Make sure, again, confidence and performance kind of together. Make sure they uh, really executing their moment at their highest ability on the performance and smiling and playing the role, right? I'm just giving you an example. Last time I talked to my students, said, hey, there has to be source of motivation that pushing you really, really hard, like for you or for me, right? There has to be something, your why. That's what many people say. It has to be your why. And so I always dive in with them in the conversation of what is your why and why you want to be there. Because if you don't know, it's hard to get there. So I go from there. We find out that why and the source of that push, and then we'll to go in another level and installing that performance and confidence in their rehearsals every day.
Yeah, and touching on that confidence, you said confidence and performance go together. I would actually even go so far as to say, confidence really is behind all of that, right? It's behind the coordination. It's behind everything because, at least personally, and I'm sure we've all experienced this. I'm sure you have as well. Is like, as a dancer going into the class and trying to push myself. If I go into the class with a positive mindset and feeling confident in my abilities, it doesn't mean I'm gonna be perfect, and I'll probably still mess up a lot, but I'm able to do a lot better, and I'm able to learn more because my brain is in the right state of mind, right, to be able to do that. But if I'm not confident, that's when I'm going to mess up a lot more, and maybe I'm not going to take as much out of that class, right, or out of that performance or whatever it is. So I think that it's good that you are really trying to reinforce that confidence, right? Because maybe not everyone does that or not to the same degree as you might. So I think
Definitely.
that's really important. Okay, so just, ballet is very valuable for life in general, and it just helps you to become a better person and to be able to approach life in a better sort of way, right? Or more efficiently. And I just want to know how you look at the bigger picture with your students when teaching them, because we know that some of them will go on to be professional dancers and some of them won't. So how do you look at that bigger picture with your students and how you're helping their lives improve and build their characters?
I look at my students the same way as I look at myself and my teacher who taught me that ballet is the challenge, and it's boosting our students and boosting ourselves, and you to gain that resilience in life. And I think it's very valuable skill to be a resilient, to push back when you have to, and be so strong not to give up. I think the biggest lesson for our students here is to shaping their character into better person tomorrow, shaping their character in the resilient person that will say, I know how hard I work and I know I will reach my goals. Shaping their character of the person that will say, I don't give up. Just like that. Is a I don't give up. I will keep going, building that confidence. And I think emotionally and psychologically, that's that's a big benefit for every student, right? It's a big chunk of it. And on another part, as any other person, I would say, of course, it's healthy for the mind. Of course, it's healthy for their coordination, for their growing their body. Of course, it's healthy for their muscle. Some movement can be harmful, like staying on point. It's actually harmful, right? But overall, dance, I think it's very helpful for the student to be more coordinated, more well-rounded, being in the community of people, or any sport or any activity, right? That's just an other topic.
Yeah, and I've heard a couple of your lectures that you've given to your kids, and this is why I wanted to ask this question, is because I know how you feel about this, and I know that you really do want to prepare these kids to live their lives, you know, better, and to be able to get through these obstacles, and to not give up. And I think that's something that you and I both feel within ourselves, is don't give up no matter what, no matter how difficult it gets. Just keep getting up and keep pushing forward, and eventually you'll succeed, even if it doesn't always look like exactly how you thought it would, right? So, all right. So just when with the studio in general, I just want to briefly ask, what are some of the challenges that you go through now, and what are some of the rewarding experiences that you've had, and just what have you learned that you wish you would have known when you first started?
Well, great question. Going back then, 22 years old guy, young, doesn't have any experience in business at all. Just going hands on, and just doing things every day, every day. And I think the problem is all of our studio owners, that we start from a place of love for dance, but we never think about finances. We never think about, will it sustain our life, and what has to be done in order to sustain. I think it is really important for people to go and learn at the same time, or connect to the community and ask people who have done it already. I think at 22 years old, I was so stubborn that people keep telling me, do go that, do this, do that. And I was so young and stubborn. Then I thought I was standing downstairs, looking upstairs to one of my teachers that I had back then. And they had some kind of problem there. Something happened. And I was like, how is that even possible? That I'm teaching here and I can resolve those old problem upstairs. How is that even possible to operate such a place? First of all, I didn't even believe that there's a better way to run the operations, to have a playbooks, to do onboarding trainings, to do all of those things, because I couldn't believe that. It took me about 3 years, 3 to 4 years, that I came to the office. I sat down, and it was like a third or fourth year not cocky preparation. It was mid September, October. I was like, no more, done, done, no more. I said, no more. That's it. That was my limit. That was my limit. I just, every day you come, the way my day was before, I wake up in the morning and come to the office. I have my list. And I was like, to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and every week the same thing: newsletter, other stuff, newsletter, other things, preparations, finance, talk, problem. It was for 3, 4 years, and I was like, I just outgrow that, and I knew that if I will keep doing this, there's no life for me. There's no life. So I started to be like, no more. I called one of the studio owners, successful studio owners. I'm not gonna mention the name, and I asked her, I say, hey, coach me. I can't anymore. And so she started coaching
How
me.
far along were you in your business at the academy here when you realized that you needed that coaching?
3, 4 years of so much struggle.
Right.
Yeah, 3, 4 years of so much pain every day. So much pain, so much problem. Um, Talking to the customers leaving. I'm having discussion on, where's my child will stay in the middle bar on this side, have a conflicts. It still happened today, unfortunately, but I think we're just handling a lot better. It doesn't come from very emotional side, more comes from the business of like, okay, this is the problem, what I can do for you. And you have to navigate the conversation with the parent. You have to navigate the conversation with the child, but there's a problem. And my family, and the way I learn about everything is like that: a problem, panic, panic,
Yeah.
and yelling and screaming. And again, but the problem is it's not resolved yet still. So you
Right.
can panic, but the problem is still there, right?
Right, how you approach it really makes all the difference. It could totally turn things around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So instead of panicking every time and acting emotional, which is it takes skills and time to learn, you just say, okay, here's a problem. And you have to acknowledge and listen, right? And then you express it. And you have to express it not that way that you excuses yourself, but you have to say, I acknowledge, I understand that is a really bad experience, and it's my apology this has happened because I didn't even know from this perspective that even it might even happen. So sometimes it's not even your fault unless you do something intentional, then maybe, right? But yeah, you just have to navigate the conversation and learn those skills of communication with the people in the business. So back to the story. My I asked to coach me, and it was like 45 minutes. We meet for the lunch, and I told her a lot of problem, and she told me what to do with all of these things. And she gave me good experience and picture overall about the business, and she really boosted me into being a CEO and being in heavy roles and positions. And it's become a certain game that I'm trying to be a CEO of the company right now. You can say that I am a CEO, but to be a real CEO, you have to have resources, you have to have a certain skills. But I'm learning about it. I'm really excited. She made me, thanks so much to her, because my teacher installed love and education into what I do, right? And she installed love in the business for me, right? She really told me that there's a better way, and this is how you do it. And since then, I come back, I start building teams, I start building a lot of playbooks, operations. I keep writing things. I started working. Many people say that on the business. I read the book E-Myth. I read a lot of other books, like Attraction and then Scalable, and there's a better way. But one thing that all the studio owner has problem with is to bring in customers in. And I think I just want to say that a lot of things rely on your location and your competitors. And yet you can position yourself better. But then if you make upset anybody even a little bit, something just small, people already trying classes in other studio. And that's the reality. I mean, if you want to stay in, like, I choose to fight over and over every year. I choose to fight, stay in Orange County and fight with the other studios for the same students, and students just go around. Some of them comes to us, some of ours comes to them, and it's been circle for 6 years. And I just decided to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that a good, good good decision that I made? I don't think so, but I decide, and uh, I learn a lot from it, from all of this, and it pushing me harder today to go and acquire new skills to become better for my students, for our families to serve better, to analyze better. Our academy, we have a lot of different new tools that we're using right now, such as a scorecard, operations manuals, playbooks, our documents, our organizations. Everything grows so much. Yeah, and we're trying to grow faster, but it's incredibly difficult because dance and ballet, it has a demand, but it's small demand compared to the other markets.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think what I take out of that, and that I've realized myself in my own endeavors in life is no matter what you're doing, business or otherwise, ballet, whatever, it's really important to have good mentors, right, to learn from. And maybe I think what you're maybe saying is that the thing that you learned was to ask for help sooner and not think that you
I
could do it
wish,
all.
I wish, because I mean everybody has to go their own journey through their own journey. And for me, it was to stay sustainable. And I didn't know that there's a better way to do it all. I didn't know the financial pressure of running a school and just teaching, trying to sustain from the small classes growing. It's a lot of pain, but people stay in the pain for many years, for more than me. I was staying in the pain for 3, 4, 5 years, and I started changing things over. And some people never do change, and they continue staying in pain. And I just, if they listen, that I would want to tell them that there's a better way. Get in the community, get in people, start building teams, and it's a lot more exciting. It's hard, but it's a lot more exciting. Having the meetings together, meet everybody and talk to everyone and propose new contracts for next year, give new updates, motivate people, promise something to them, treat them good. I I always looking forward for a day, and I know what will happen, for a day where we grow and I would be able to benefit all of my employees because I want them to stay healthy. I want them to give more from my heart and support their lives. I do want to, but because we're very small, it's really limited. That's how come we come up with the shared pool profit, right? Everything that after the profit we share with the teachers and our staff, and trying to give a bonuses as well. But it makes me really excited to take care of my team, and from my heart to all of them, I want for them more. I want to grow this place and give it more. This is what I truly wanted.
Yeah, and I definitely know from experience, knowing you, we haven't known each other very long, like I said, maybe about 7, 8 months, but, you said something to me yesterday, and you said, Aaron, I I believe that you want to support me and you want to help me, and it's not just based on your words, it's based on your actions. And I felt so strongly the same way about you, and I know that you do feel that way and that you really want to help your teachers and help everyone around you because you don't say it, you show it, based on your actions. Like, you're just already so busy as it is, and I've been begging you to train me in ballet for months and months and months, and I feel bad for even asking because I know how busy you are, and you finally you agreed to start training me. So that, I mean, just the ways that you're willing to go out of your way to help people and just give to other people. And as you mentioned the other day, is that really is the true path to happiness, right? Is not to think about yourself, but to think about others and to give as much as you can to others. Obviously, there are limits because we get tired. We have our limits, but really just pouring ourselves out into other people and serving other people in any ways that we can is really the true path to happiness and joy and peace, right? So, I just am so happy that you know that you understand that, and then that we relate on that. That we're both people that want to give, and I think that's a big part of the reason why we're such good friends and why we get along so well.
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
So, do you have any other last things that you want to say about the studio, the business, or just any last final notes to our list to the listener?
Well, I would truly want to say that people should keep dream big and people should not give up on their dreams. And I also want to say that do not think that things will come so fast and put all this super high expectation on yourself. I know you might hear that there's people who get so rich so fast. Somebody won a lottery, or somebody who built a team and built $1 million company in 2 weeks. But that's not realistic. I want all of the people to think realistically and put a realistic expectations, work hard, but also find some certain balance to not being so hard on yourself. Because again, what's going to happen that the more you're going to be harder on yourself, the more you're going to put yourself in the place of pain, and then more pain you have, and the pain will might push you to give up, right? So instead, you try to balance that, right? Many people say, "Oh, you're so disciplined, you work so hard," but I started looking a little bit different way to say it. You're so disciplined, you work so hard, but you also take days off. You also can rest. You also can enjoy and recharge, because the more you invest in yourself, the more you can give. And if you are empty cup, you're not able to give anything because there's no water already. So try to refill yourself sometimes, and really keep dreaming big, uh, and then breakthrough should come. That's what I believe, and that's why I'm pushing forward.
Yeah, no, that's so true, isn't it? I mean, it takes a lot of discipline to work hard, but it takes just as much discipline to rest and to take care of yourself, right? So that's an ongoing process, and I think it will be for us for the rest of our lives, right? We
Right,
build good habits, but we're going to have to continue to maintain those habits. So
right,
I think that that's really important for anyone, no matter what it is that you're pursuing in life, right?
right.
Well, anyways, it was great doing this podcast with you. I'm really excited for future episodes and talking to some different studio owners, some different dancers, different professionals, and just really getting into, more into this passion for dance and business. So thank you so much for this idea, creating Studio Founders, and for asking me to be a part of it. And I'm just really excited to see where it goes.
Thanks so much for having me. And I'm really excited that this channel can become more than just a channel of studio founders. It can become a source of experiences and source of help to each others. I truly believe that in people can share and you can learn from it and you can improve yourself and improve your business. And doesn't matter if you're a studio owner or a teacher or a student or a family member too, a family member who are students, right? So that would be beneficial for all of that, and we'll have a really great topic to talk about in here. Thanks so much
Great.
for having me.
Thank you.